Hi, everybody. I hope you can all hear me now. We're very excited to be hosting this online build event today. Just a quick review. We do have a code of conduct. This is a family-friendly live meeting, or actually it's an everybody-friendly live meeting. So no disrespect, no cruel comments, no mean questions. Let's keep it all friendly. So jumping right into our segment, we're going to learn how to code with Visual Studio Code today. And my name is Devin Valenciano. I'm a program manager on the Visual Studio Code team, and I'm currently talking to you from my humble apartment in Seattle, Washington. But to introduce our headline speaker, let me introduce my peer, Sana.
Hey everyone, my name is Sana, and I'm actually coming to you from New Jersey. I'm also a program manager on the Visual Studio Code team. A little bit more about me, I joined Microsoft 2 years ago out of college, shout out Georgia Tech, so I definitely still remember what it was like to be a student. I know the COVID-19 virus has definitely shaken things up for students everywhere, but we really appreciate all of you going out of your way to attend sessions at Build and get exposure to new technologies. So let's get started. So feel free to ask questions throughout the session. Devin's going to be helping answering and moderate them throughout, and then we'll leave some more time at the end for some more Q&A. So the session's 30 minutes. We'll go over some quick slides about what VS Code is and why you should start using it, and what you can do with it, and then we'll go into a quick demo. So truth be told, learning to code can be intimidating. Whether you're formally studying computer science in school or you're trying to self-learn using online tutorials or videos, it just seems like there's so much to learn. And it's not even just the content, but even setting up the tools and the environment that you choose to code in. So we're here to help make that second part especially easier, because that shouldn't be the thing that stops you from learning to code. A large part of our roles as program managers is to reach out and talk to customers. This is how we make our product better, by hearing the experiences of all of our users, no matter how they're using it. So we did a lot of interviews with students and educators, and this is what they told us. Basically, we heard from students that they really hate installing a bunch of stuff on their computers. For one class, they might have to install a specific IDE and then a specific set of tools for Java. And then the next semester, they have a new class in Python and they have to basically install a whole new set of stuff. And it basically makes their machines really slow or dirty or heavy. They would love to just install one tool and have it work so that they can start coding. We also learned that students really care about having a modern and sleek tool so that they can, use it in dark mode, because if it looks good, you feel good. From talking to teachers and professors, we learned that they want to really teach their students how to use real-world tools so that they can, provide value for them early on. But a lot of those real-world tools are actually really intimidating or overwhelming. We also learned that teachers really just want you to be able to install it really quickly and set it up so that you can also start coding quickly, and that they want to find ways to make collaboration between students easier. So taking all this feedback in, we realized that Visual Studio Code is in a really unique position to address a lot of these getting started issues for students and educators everywhere. Ultimately, our goal is to help make coding more accessible to more people and address the developer shortage. For those who don't know, really quickly, VS Code is a lightweight and free coding editor. You might be familiar with other text editors like Notepad or Sublime, and a lot of other IDEs are a little bit heavier like Eclipse or IntelliJ. So you can think of VS Code kind of leaning towards more of that editor on that spectrum, but it's because it's fast and lightweight, but it also has some more features that can help make it a little bit more powerful. Why should you care? Why should you use it? First off, like we said, you can use any language in VS Code, so you don't have to install a bunch of different pieces of software. VS Code is extensible, which means that there are extensions or plugins for virtually anything, including different coding languages. You can install it on a Windows machine or on a Mac or even on a Linux device. So if you have it installed on multiple devices, it also syncs between them. Finally, you can make it personalized, and so extensions, settings, themes, fonts, laying it out however you want. And everything I just mentioned about all these, settings and stuff, ultimately, all those are optional. You can make it as specialized as you want, because at the end of the day, we care about helping you learn with confidence at your own pace. From the last Stack Overflow survey, that's a developer survey, one of the broadest ones, we learned that VS Code is actually the most popular tool among software developers professionally. So we learned that more and more of our user base is actually becoming students and people who are new to coding, which we're really excited about. One of the coolest things I'm going to show in the demo in a couple minutes is something called LiveShare. LiveShare is an extension that helps you code with others in real time. I remember in my first year of college, I went to my first hackathon, and I still didn't know how to use GitHub totally back then. So I remember in my group project, we were copying and pasting code and sending it over via Facebook Messenger, and it was really, really inefficient. You've probably been in a situation where you're working in a group project or office hours, and you're all huddled around one computer. So LiveShare helps solve that and make that way easier. It lets multiple people code together and share the same editor, even if they're on different computers. And one more thing I'm going to show in the demo is something called remote development. We often see situations where people like this want to try out a new language or a new project, but the hassle of trying to figure out how to install the compiler and the dependencies and set up your path is just way too much. I'll demo an extension called the Remote Containers extension, which will help you get started in a new environment in a couple minutes and not have to worry about installing a bunch of stuff. So with that, I'm going to get started with the demo. So I'm going to open up VS Code. Hopefully you see my screen right now. So this should look familiar if you've ever used VS Code before. From the welcome page, you can actually go in and start customizing VS Code the way you want it to be. So if I click on the color theme here, VS Code comes with a bunch of themes already for you. So there's light themes, there's dark themes, and you can also preview the theme before you install it. So there's a bunch here. You know, there's even a red one. So if you like the red one, you do you. I'm actually going to go ahead and install a couple more. So by clicking that, I was able to launch the extensions view. I can also do that by just clicking on this icon on the side. And there are a bunch of extensions in VS Code. We're going to specifically search for the category of themes. So for instance, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, there is literally an theme extension called Winter is Coming. I'm going to install one called GitHub. I really like it. It's made by the GitHub theme. I'm going to install it, and it'll also show me a preview of what it's going to look like. So I like the light one for now. I'll keep that. So beyond themes, there's a whole bunch of other extensions. If I go back and search for all the categories that we have, you can see that there's extensions for programming languages, for different languages like English and French and so many more. Source control, debugging, there's so many. Key maps. So for instance, if you are coming from another editor, like you've used Eclipse before or Sublime Text, and you got really used to the keyboard shortcuts there, you can actually use those keyboard shortcuts by installing this extension. You can also install extensions for all the programming languages. So these are made by Microsoft for the most part, and you can see I already have the Python extension installed because that's what I'll use in the demo. But these extensions will provide an experience like similarly Microsoft Word does when you type an essay. It provides, autocomplete, formatting, grammar, basically helps you write your code. So let's get started with personalizing it a little bit more. Because of these extensions, your VS Code and my VS Code will look entirely different based on what you have installed. Another way to make VS Code a little bit more personal is to change the layout. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new terminal. VS Code comes with a built-in terminal down here, and you can actually see that I can start dragging things. So I'm going to take the search view, for instance, and drag it down here. And if I want to, search down here, I totally can. If I want to change the way this panel is, I can actually go to View, Appearance, and I can move the panel to the right. So I can move things around if I want to in VS Code. I actually like the the panel on the bottom, so I'm going to move it back there. So I have an empty folder right now. I'm going to go ahead and actually clone a repository. So this allows me to go search through projects on GitHub and clone them really easily. I'm already signed into GitHub, so if I click here, I see an option to clone from GitHub. I'm going to search for a repository called the Cat Said No build. And this will allow me to pick a location to clone it. And now it's going to help me open it in a new VS Code window. Cool. So this is the demo that we'll do today. It's a Python project. I'm going to open up the main file here, and I'll start running it. You can press the play button over here to run it. And it's going to give me a address to go to, command click, and this is the app. It's an app where I try to press the button and the cat does not let me press the button. All right, this is a really silly app, but it works for the demo, which is awesome. But the thing is, I'm not a huge fan of cats. Sorry to all the cat lovers. I'm more of a dog person, so I think I want to change this cat paw here to be a dog paw. So if I go back to VS Code, I can see that there's probably a image. There is a dog paw image in here, but I don't know necessarily where to put it. So I might need some help. So let's call Devin back in to help me. There's an extension in VS Code, like I mentioned earlier, called LiveShare. So if you search for this, it's the LiveShare extension pack. I already have it installed, but this is going to let us code together in real time. So it's going to give you this icon on the side here. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to be able to start a collaboration session. Doing that will give me a link that I can now share with Devin. So I've copied the link. I'm going to go over to Teams and send it to him. Actually, you know what? I'm going to send it on another. Yeah, let me send it to Devin real quick on. On a messaging platform. Devin, I've just Slacked it to you.
Oh, and I got that link on my end, so I'm clicking the link that Sana sent me, and just like that, I didn't even have an instance of Visual Studio running, but it's going and joining the collaboration session that she set up. So.
And the cool part about LiveShare is that not only can I work together, but I can also chat together. And you can chat via text, or you can chat with an audio call. So an audio call is going to actually start basically a Teams call, which we're already on, which is the cool part.
And mine's just joining on my end. Right now, my device is joining the LiveShare workspace that Sana created and sent me a link to.
All right, I got a notification that Devin has joined the collaboration session, and there I see his cursor. This is dope. Hello, Devin. How's it going?
Hi, everybody.
So I'm going to go and follow him. So where if he goes through different files of my code, I can actually see which files he's been going to. So Devin, can you help me change the cat paw to a dog paw?
Yeah, actually, the Cat Said No is one of my favorite apps, so I know it very well. And I know that in the static folder here, you've actually got a spare image already ready. So if we go to the templates folder and we open this home.html, it'll be as simple as changing the title of the application and changing the image to the second image you have on hand.
Oh,
and just
nice.
like that, you should have the app with a dog image.
All right, let's go and try running that again. So let's see if it worked. I'm going to press the play button over here. And it will give me, let's go back to the tab over here and press the button. And there you go. There's the dog paw. The dog said no. I like this way better. Thank you, Devin.
I'm glad I could help.
So I can also open the chat and say thanks and talk to him here if we weren't actually on a call. Nice. All right, cool. So one more thing I want to show you guys is remote containers, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation. So this was LiveShare. Another cool extension is called remote containers. So if you search for this in the marketplace, this is the extension, and this basically lets you run the guts of VS Code in a different place that's not your computer. So it's going to let you run it in something called a container. Don't worry if you're not familiar with containers. They're basically lightweight units where you can run different software inside of. And it's different from your actual physical device. So the prerequisite for this is having something called Docker installed. Docker is an engine where containers can run. So I have it already running, and I want to show you an example of me trying to work with a Java project, even though I don't have Java installed on my computer. So for instance, I'll show you that I don't have Java installed here. It's telling me I don't have the runtime. I have to go in and install a JDK and add it to my path. And I don't necessarily want to do that because I just want to try doing something in Java. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to go to the remote containers extension. So that extension gives me a little icon on the corner of my screen. If I click on this, it's going to let me I'm going to go to try a sample. So we have a bunch of pre-built containers ready for you to play with if you want to, and they come in different environments and languages. So I'm going to go to the Java one because that's what I want to play with right now. It's going to build the container. And this is going to take a couple minutes the first time you do it, but I already did it, so it's going to be a little quick. And it basically opened up VS Code inside of a container where all the Java dependencies and environment is ready for me to use. I didn't have to do anything on my personal computer. You know, it comes with the Java extensions in VS Code, and it also gives it to me inside the container. So if I open up a terminal again, you can see that I'm not in my normal machine. I'm inside this container. So if I type in Java here, I have it. I have Java, the JDK installed on the inside the container. So if I go to this, app.java file, it's a really simple app. I can run it, and it's going to open up and say, "Hello, remote world from Microsoft Build." So that was it. That was really simple, right? You can try a new language, try a new skill, but you don't have to be worried about setting it up or messing up your computer. The point of this is to be able to save time and save hassle so that you can actually just start coding and trying new things out. Because on the VS Code team, we're all about finding ways to get you to code faster and on your own terms. So with that, I'm going to go back to our deck and remind you guys of other resources at Microsoft that exist for students. We would really appreciate it if you can take a quick survey to let us know if this was helpful for you. We also want to remind you that there are different student resources like the Azure for Students credit. So if you want to build an app, try it out and host it on Azure, you can. The Imagine Cup is a competition where you and your friends can make an app and submit it. And there's also an ambassadors program. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Great. Great job, Sana. Thank you so much for showing us all that. I'm looking at the question window right now, so we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the most liked ones that haven't been answered yet. And actually, I think it's really important to point out that the most liked comment on here is about your Harry Potter poster. So people care about the right stuff.
Yes, you know what would be really cool to see? A Harry Potter theme in VS Code. That's a really cool side project if anyone wants to do it.
That's brilliant. Okay, I'm actually genuinely excited about that. So Sana, this question's been answered a couple times, and Sarah provided a nice link here, but I think you would speak really well to this. What's the difference between Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio, and why would a user who uses Visual Studio today consider using Visual Studio Code in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I understand that they're named very similarly, so it can be kind of confusing. First off, you can have both Visual Studio and VS Code installed on your computer, so it doesn't matter if you have one or the other or both. Visual Studio is more of an IDE, which is called an integrated development environment. So it's a little bit more fully fleshed and has a fewer more features than an editor would. And Visual Studio is really, really good for doing things like C# or .NET, or if that's something that you want to try. VS Code, on the other hand, is kind of more fine-tuned for things like Python or JavaScript. And if that's what you want to go to, it's a little bit more simpler to get started with. But they're both really great tools. It just depends on what it is you want to build.
Great answer. Okay, so let's move down the list here. Let's see. Can you talk a little bit more about the different integrations with GitHub that VS Code has?
Yeah, definitely. So I can actually go back to VS Code and show that. So let me actually exit out of this container. And so you saw that I was really able to pretty easily clone a repository. We really want to kind of bring GitHub closer to VS Code now that Microsoft, owns both. We want to make it easy for you to be able to clone a repository from GitHub and kind of avoid all those commands like git clone, git add, all that kind of stuff, and just do it from here. We also want you to be able to initialize a repository. So if I go to this source control view, I can kind of do the same thing. If I've created a new file or a new folder, I'll be able to push that back up to GitHub and initialize a repository, and it will make sure I've correctly added all my Git remotes as well by doing so. If you go to the extensions view as well, there's a bunch of GitHub extensions that the community has created. Our team has actually worked on a couple of them. One of them is called GitHub pull requests and issues. So if you work on a group project where you guys do pull requests, and I know that's a little bit of a more advanced topic, but if you do GitHub pull requests, you can actually create them and merge them from inside VS Code as well. So definitely search through extensions. A bunch of them exist to make it easier and bring that integration there.
Awesome. So Sana, I'm seeing a really great question here about someone's asking if we have any plans to unroll something called Settings Sync. Do you have any information on something called Settings Sync?
I do. That's a good one. Someone's been paying attention to the different demos they've been watching. So down here, you'll notice that I have two VS Codes. One of them is the stable version. One of them is the insiders version. So I'm going to open up the insiders version really quickly. The insiders version is, you can have both of them installed, but the insiders version is our daily one. It's the one our team uses to actually build VS Code. And the blue icon one is the monthly release. So the settings sync is a feature that's currently only in the insiders version because we're not ready to roll it out, but we want to get feedback on it. So in the insiders version, you'll see there's a little icon here. And I've actually already been signed in to my GitHub account. And there's this thing called turn on preferences sync. And over here, this is going to let me choose what settings I want to sync. And the reason I would be syncing them anyway is so that if I, for instance, have a different computer or a different machine that I also use VS Code on, I can just sign back into that one and then have all my extensions, have all my settings and shortcuts kind of sync back up. So I don't have to worry about installing everything afresh. So this is available in the insiders build only right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing us that. Let's see, I'm picking through the questions here, trying to find something a little different from the stuff that we've already asked. Let's see. I've gotten a couple questions. Two separate people have asked about an install for iPad Pro, and I know we don't have that on the roadmap right now, but I know there's some ways to actually get it running on an iPad. Isn't that correct?
Yes. So VS Code likely won't be a native mobile app anytime soon, but there is a way to kind of hack it to work on an iPad right now. So if you were watching any of the other sessions, you might have heard of a new announcement called VS Code Spaces. And this is essentially being able to run VS Code in the browser. And so if we support a browser version of VS Code, you could technically run that from an iPad. So right now, VS Code Spaces is still, in its beta, so it's not yet totally released, but it will be soon, and it's going to be an awesome way to kind of start being able to use VS Code, again, on multiple devices or in multiple ways.
Awesome. Great answer there. Oh, I had a great question picked out and then it vanished. Let me see here. Let's see. I've gotten a couple questions about Windows Subsystem on Linux, but I've already sent out a link. Do you have anything else you'd want to add to that?
Yeah. So I only showed one of the remote extensions. There's actually 3 of them. So if you go to VS Code and search for remote, you'll actually see there's a bunch, and I'm actually going to open this remote development one. So this is an extension pack that has 3 different remote extensions in it. And I only showed the remote containers today, but there's also a remote WSL one and a remote SSH one. So the remote WSL one, if you're on a Windows computer and you have WSL installed on your machine, you can open VS Code up inside WSL. So then you'll be able to, easily go into your Linux commands and be able to run VS Code like that. The architecture for how this works is we separated VS Code, like the UI and the client, from the VS Code server. So now we're able to kind of install the VS Code server part into any of these contexts. So inside of a container, inside of the WSL, or inside of a virtual machine. And so that's what lets us be able to have things like VS Code and WSL, which works with WSL2, by the way, work.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Actually, this is the question I wish I had asked when I first started on the team. How do we find the best and vetted extensions?
Ooh, that's a good one. So like I said, there's almost, I think, 20,000 extensions. And This sort of search for the extension marketplace is actually a query. You can query it. So there's a couple things you can do. You can search by recommended. You can also search by number of installs that the extensions have. So if I do this, you can see the most popular ones, and those are typically like the most vetted or the most popular. So, the Python extension, a lot of the language ones. I kind of just make my way down this list and see if this extension applies to you or not and try it out. So there's ones that are created by Microsoft, and there's ones that are created by other companies, as well as just community created ones.
Definitely.
One of the coolest side projects, if you're interested, is building a VS Code extension. It's one of the first projects I did when I joined the team, just to get an idea of like what it is you can do with VS Code. It's really, really extensible. Like you can make an extension for literally anything. So for instance, one of them I like is a Spotify extension, which lets me control my Spotify queue from inside VS Code. Like you can make an extension for literally anything.
I love it. Yeah, I need to get that Spotify one myself. Okay, another quick question. Would someone have 100% extension functionality in Linux?
100%, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we tend to take that really seriously as a team. We want this to be a development environment for all developers on all platforms. So that's kind of a fun one for us. Let's see. Wow, you have a ton of questions here. A lot of good ones. This one's fun. Can you show how we can disable the pop-up notifications on the bottom right of the editor?
Yeah, that's a good one. I know we do a lot of the notifications. It can get kind of annoying. So if you do get a notification that you don't want to answer or talk to, there's usually a settings gear on it where you can disable it, so you won't get that notification again. But a lot of the times, as a PM, we want to send notifications to get a pulse on how the user is thinking about the product at the time. So we'll actually send a lot of surveys through the notifications. We love your feedback. But if you do want to disable them, you totally can.
Great answer. And here's a little bit more technical question. Can you have multiple dev containers in one instance of VS Code and switch between the one that you want to work in?
So you can have, maybe the person who asked can clarify, do you mean in one folder have multiple dev containers or have a dev container? You can have a workspace, for instance. A workspace in VS Code is basically a container for multiple projects or multiple folders, and each folder in there can have a dev container. But every time you do launch the remote containers extension, it will have to connect to the container again. So you can't have a container like two instances of. Sorry, you have to go back and connect to the container each time, so it would be a single kind of use.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see, someone's asking if we have a current ARM build for Raspberry Pi. I can tell you that we do not have a version that runs on ARM.
Not officially, but it's being it's not officially, but you could find it if you go to our GitHub repository.
I love it. There's always that we have such an active community, and there's always a solution out there. Let's see. What language would an extension be developed in?
Yeah, that's a good question. So VS Code is an Electron app, which means it's a Node.js application. So you could develop extensions in TypeScript and JavaScript. And if you have, for instance, a language extension, you'll need more of that language. But they're TypeScript and JavaScript extensions.
That's accurate. And I'm going to end with a fun question here. What are the free versus paid offerings for VS Code? There are only free offerings for VS Code. The new product Codespaces does run in the cloud, and after your free student Azure credit runs out, you may need Azure credit, but VS Code is a free product, and we're very happy to say that. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was a really fun session. I hope you learned something. Install VS Code today, install the Insiders build, and give us feedback, and follow us on Twitter. Let us know how this went. Give us your feedback. Thank you so much.